shoot for that next week. But as far as the picking them, because we got to pick the games. I mean, we got to pick the games. That's a must. You have to. So we've got the Washington Redskins at the New York Giants. Again, the Redskins have been playing really good ball the first 2 weeks. The Giants have had the opportunity to win both weeks. I'm taking the home team Giants in this one. Do not be surprised if the Redskins win this game. It would be a huge statement and step up for the Redskins if they win this game. If the Giants win this game, it will, it'll just be more parity in that division, which is kind of why I'm going that way. That division just always seems to be parity. Next, we've got the Atlanta Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys. I am going to go with the Atlanta Falcons to stay 3-0. They are healthy. The Cowboys are not, and the Cowboys are not healthy at their two best players on the whole team, in Tony Romo and Dez Bryant. So I don't care if it's in Dallas. We're going with the Falcons to stay undefeated. Then we've got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, Ravens should have at least one win. They should not be 0-2. The Bengals' weak schedule, slightly overachieving, haven't looked all that impressive. They've looked somewhat impressive, but not overwhelmingly impressive. So we're going to go for the Ravens to kind of help bring everything back to balance just a little closer in that one, playing at home. Then we've got the Oakland Raiders at the Cleveland Browns. This is a very interesting one. Raiders coming off of a big win. Browns coming off of a big win, being at home, but switching quarterbacks again, going back to their original starter because of the quarterback movement. I can't believe I'm saying this, but if Johnny Manziel was the starting quarterback, or if Johnny Manziel comes into the game before the fourth quarter, I like the Cleveland Browns. However, since none of those are the case right now, I have to pick the Oakland Raiders as the pick. All right, moving on. Indianapolis Colts at Tennessee Titans. Imperative that the Colts win this division game, get their first win, and they will be no less than, the worst case they would be a game behind the Jaguars then, if that happens. If they lose this game, they're 2 games behind the Titans, maybe 2 games behind the Jaguars too, and all HE double hockey sticks is going to break loose. So Colts win a absolute must. If there's ever been a must-win game in Week 3 of the NFL season, it is this year, this week, for the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm picking them on the road in that must-win. Because they must. All right, so then we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the St. Louis Rams. Very intriguing matchup here. You've got one of the best offenses in the line, or one of the best offenses in the league believed to be in the Steelers, versus one of the best defenses in the league believed to be at home in the St. Louis Rams. I think I'm going to go with the Steelers just because, I don't know, just because. That's why, honestly, that's how much this is a toss-up game to me. Again, not one that would surprise me at all if the Rams win. Chargers at Minnesota Vikings. Chargers have a chance, but I feel pretty confident that the Vikings will continue to play well during the day at home. It is night games on the road that have me worried for this season. So that might not bode well come playoff time, should we make it that far. All right, next you've got your first place Jacksonville Jaguars at 1-1. Woohoo! On the road against the Patriots. Jaguars might be able to put up more of a fight than a lot of people are going to think going into this, but Patriots would be another good eliminator lock pick at home, I would think, this week. So we are definitely going Patriots all the way on that one. Next, we've got the Saints at the Panthers. This is a must-win for the Saints. If they win this, they're very much back in it, and they have a season to play for. If they lose it, they don't. I'm going to stick with the must-wins here in Week 3, so I'm going with the Saints on the road over the Panthers. We've got the Eagles at the Jets. The Eagles at the Jets. I'm not picking the Eagles on the road, injured, playing like frickin' Chip Kelly poo. I mean, no, New York Jets are playing good. And I said that it was going to be a good thing for the Jets to have Ryan Fitzpatrick starting this season when Geno Smith got his jaw busted up. And that's exactly what has happened. Their defense is rocking. Their offense is playing well under the new coaching and the new quarterback. Jets at home all the way. All right, then we got this should be an ugly one. Good old ugly one. We got the Tampa Bay Bucks at the Houston Texans. Texans starting Ryan Mallett now instead of Brian Hoyer at quarterback. Buccaneers did beat the Saints last week. I think the Buccaneers come back to reality. Houston gets their first win at home for no other reason than they get some lucky breaks at home, and they're playing who's supposed to be a crummy team. Next, we got the Niners at the Cardinals. Not even going to acknowledge that one with an explanation. Cardinals in a lock at home. Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. That is a very good pick 'em, flip a coin game. Both teams coming off of a loss. Let's go with the home team when in doubt. If it's a coin flip, I usually like to go with the home team. So we'll go Miami Dolphins. Slight edge in quarterback there too. Then we've got the Chicago Bears at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks lock, first win of the year. Not even sure if Cutler is starting at quarterback for the Bears or if they will be stuck with an entire game of Jimmy Clausen at starting quarterback. Still waiting on your apology, retirement, head shaving, Mel Kiper Jr. Jimmy Clausen is worthless. You were dead wrong. Own up to it, my man. Own it. It's about time. You're long past due. Our last two games of the week, we got the Denver Broncos at the Detroit Lions. You know, it'd be great if the Lions got it back together. But I don't know. The one thing the Broncos have been good at in their overachieving two games is their defense. Their defense has looked really good. And the Detroit Lions, boy, their offensive line looks terrible. And when you have a defense that can get to Stafford and hit him hard, we all found that, the Lions just don't win those games. So I'm going with Denver on the road, even though I don't think Denver's a very good team. Only because I think the Denver defense is going to win that game by destroying the Detroit offensive line. If Detroit's offensive line holds up, Detroit will win their first game of the season at home over the Broncos. And then our final game, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Green Bay Packers. That should be a great game. Chiefs, an excellent team, my pick to win their division this year, coming off of a very disappointing, heartbreaking loss. You've got the Packers flying high, drunk on cheese there in Wisconsin at 2-0, hosting the Kansas City Chiefs in a rematch of like Super Bowl 2 or 1. I think it's a rematch of Super Bowl 1. Probably why, with this year's being the 50th anniversary of the Super Bowl. If it was in KC, I'd pick the Chiefs. It's in Green Bay, bright lights Monday night, picking the Packers. But the Chiefs are a good enough team to beat the Packers, or anyone in the league for that matter, when they're playing their best. And the Packers are continuing to get dinged up at key positions. Balaga on the O-line, Eddie Lacy now in the backfield, obviously Jordy Nelson at wide receiver. So keep an eye on the Packers' injuries. If there are too many of them, on that O-line and in that backfield, then maybe KC will be able to pull it off. But otherwise, I just don't see it for this week yet. I see the Packers going 3-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, so there is all of our NFL football talk for the week. Let's get on to some other topics before I got to close up shop here on the show tonight. Well, from one football to another. From one football to another. Yeah. College football. We'll just dive into that just a little bit. Ohio State announced that Cardale Jones will be starting again this week for them at quarterback. He came off of a very poor performance last week in an Ohio State win, mind you. A lot of talk about going to that Braxton Miller guy this week, but it turns out they will be sticking with Cardale. Yeah, I think it's Cardale, not Cardale. But something to keep an eye on. Wouldn't surprise me at all if within the next game or two yet, should we see Mr. Jones struggle this week and possibly even next week yet, that an official change would be made. They've been kind of doing a quarterback by committee sort of thing a little bit anyway, but something to keep an eye on. Other than that, Michigan State looks incredible in the Big Ten here so far this year. I was wrong on them a little bit. I knew they'd be good. I didn't think they were elite, one of the best. They are looking every bit like that. So props to them. They're standing out amongst the top-ranked teams to me at the moment. Also in the Big Ten in general, your feel-good story that's standing out to everyone right now is Northwestern. Surprise team, having a lot of success this year, and the Gophers have them coming up on the schedule in just a week or two. I believe that might be next week's game, as a matter of fact. That will be a tough challenge for the Gophers. Speaking of the Minnesota Gophers, they, quote-unquote, won their game against Kent State last week by a score of 10-7. We scored a Ryan Santoso field goal in the first quarter. We had a touchdown. Not sure if it was running or passing. Don't really care. We had a touchdown in the second quarter. And then in the third and the fourth quarter, we went scoreless. We gave up a touchdown in the third. And it was a 3-point game for the entire of the fourth quarter. This is a game against a team that you should be stomping if you are, even remotely thinking that you should be a top 25 team, a team that's playing in some kind of bowl, a team that's playing in a conference championship game at the end of the year. If you think you're one of those teams, then Kent State is a school that you have to destroy easily when you run into those opponents. And we are struggling mightily. Our defense, if you're a Minnesota Gopher fan, is one of the top in the nation. I would say that the Minnesota Gophers defense is somewhere between the top 10 and for sure top 20 defenses in the entire country. That is the reason people take us seriously. That is the reason we're winning games. Our head coach, Jerry Kill, who takes credit for every success that the school and the team and the program has, and freaks out at anyone suggesting that he has something to do, with things when they do not go well and we don't win. Interesting fact, he has nothing to do with the defense. He doesn't play call them, he doesn't coach them, he glances over at them, he kind of knows their general idea of what they're going and trying to do or whatever, but that's it. He has nothing to do with that facet of the team whatsoever. The only thing he has any involvement in whatsoever is the offense, and he pretty much runs it. That's his thing. And our offense is absolutely pathetic. And everybody here in Minnesota wants to say it's because of two reasons. It's because Mitch Leidner, our quarterback, is awful, and it's because our offensive line is awful because there's a lot of injuries on it. Could Mitch Leidner play better than he has played? Of course. You could say that about almost any player anywhere ever. Does our offensive line have injury issues where we're missing good players and we're interchanging pieces and they're, having growing pains in adjusting to that? Absolutely. That's obvious if you watch the games. But are either of those the reason that our offense is not moving the chains, gaining yards, and putting points on the board? No, not whatsoever. It is 100% on Jerry Kill, the offensive mastermind genius. He's very a la Chip Kelly in believing the hype, his own hype, that, yeah, I am an offensive genius, and it's my mind and play calling and just whatever I want to do. If I go, ooh, I'd like to do this here because I thought of it, it's a great idea and it's going to work. And if it doesn't, then it's because someone else involved failed. That's how this moron, I'm sorry, but Jerry Kill is a moron, and that's how this moron's mind works. Now, people here in Minnesota aren't going to like this because for the most part, the fan base and the people here in Minnesota love Jerry Kill as a head coach, and I don't get it. I don't understand why. Why? Because we started winning enough games to be 500 and be in meaningless bowl games, 3 to 4 weeks before New Year's. Whoop-de-doo. Big frickin' whoop. I don't care about that at all.